Welcome to War Thunder with Subdude. How y'all doing today? Well, very interesting dev blog for a brand new premium at $70. The A-6E Intruder Tram. Whatever. It's a rank 7. So that means something's coming for rank 8. Or something's getting moved to rank 8. Because right now, that's going to be the equivalent firepower of the A7s, the A10. Actually, it'll have more firepower than the A10. It will be able to carry guided bombs, regular bombs, 13 1,000 pounders. Right now, the best one to carry 1,000 pounders, I believe, is the A7 at 12. And I believe also the Buccaneer has a pretty massive carry capacity. Yeah, it's got 12 secondaries. It can carry 12 1,000 pounders and 4 500 pounders. So it kind of takes the lead as far as the heavy lift. Although even though it has the heavy lift limit, it's still woefully underarmed. But yeah, we're getting a A6 Intruder, finally. It's going to be an interesting plane. It can carry gun pods and AIM-9Ls, so it's not going to be completely toothless, but it'll be interesting to find out how much that limits its ordnance load. Won't be a whole lot of good if your ordnance load is diminished significantly by taking missiles to protect yourself or gun pods to shoot back. And the cost is going to be, in a short word, extravagant. That cost was enough to make anyone swallow their bubblegum. Now it is rank 7, supposedly. But even at rank 7, that is just insane. I mean, this is a free-to-play game. And as a free-to-play game, I mean, you don't own the game. If Gaijin decides to shut down the servers at noon GMT and never bring them up again, every penny that you put into the game is gone. And a $70 premium is absolutely insane. Am I going to get it? Hell, I don't know. I have no idea whether I will waste $70 on an A-6E. Now, hopefully there's a tech tree version of that plane. If there's a tech tree version, no issue. Just grind it out. But $70 for a premium that's going to have rather limited use in air realistic, that's a lot of money. That's too much money. I don't care if the whole world is going into an economic depression. You got to remember, it hits us as players too. We don't have that money to be throwing around when Gaijin is raising the price on things. Doesn't make any sense. Doesn't mean they won't do it. It just means it doesn't make any sense. It was bad enough when stuff was going for $60. But now that it's going for $70, yeesh. That's a lot of money. And again, you don't even get the game that you can play on a standalone basis. Now, if they had a standalone section where you could just play against bots without having to log into the internet, I might be able to see my way. Because even if all the servers go down and never come back, I would still be able to fire up my PC and play against bots. This is the downside of the high end. When you start getting into that position, you've already put in a lot of time and in some cases a lot of money to make the game enjoyable for you. And I don't know. I really don't know whether it's been thought out very well. I mean, if we get to the end where Gaijin says, hey, folks, we're going to be shutting down the servers, and for an additional $50 or $100, you can turn your game into a standalone, or we will sell you the server software to be able to run local games in your neighborhood or across the internet, with players that you know or don't know or whatever. But we will no longer be supporting, the game. It's gotten to that point right now where it's at the very top level of how much more am I going to spend on this game to get planes like the A-6E. And that doesn't even count the tanks or the ships. I don't do the ships. I don't do the tanks. All I do is the aircraft. And the expense for one facet of the game, where there are also other issues, such as lack of actual gameplay development, doesn't make it's starting to get to the point where I'm starting to question the people in charge of the game. It's gotten to that point where some of the movements are questionable. Now, I'm not saying that they shouldn't get premium, shouldn't have buying premiums, but we're starting to get into the realm of holy smokes. This is a little too expensive. And honestly, I think that's the price they should have put on the A-10A and the Su-25K. Not that either one really warrants that sort of a price. They're not fast. Well, the Su-25 is faster than the A-10A, but it it's just gotten to the point where now, yeah, I'm glad they're putting the intruder in. It's going to have a hell of a bomb load, but it's still subsonic. How much of your bomb load are you going to have to lose to carry a Sidewinder? And granted, it'll be an AIM-9L. How much of your bomb load are you going to have to lose to carry a gun pod? How much of your weapons load do you have to give up to have safety in the air? Su-25 is a different animal. Su-25 has loads of underwing pylons. It can carry 6,000 or 500 kilogram bombs, 2 gun pods, and its missiles. But the wing pylons on the A-6 are a bit different. It's going to be interesting to see how that plane loads out. And I'm sure that there's going to be at least a few people out there that are going to want to do Flight of the Intruder. And I'll tell you what, me too. But I hope there's a tech tree version of the Intruder. Oh, and I wish that they would come out with the missiles that thing could carry. I'm talking about the Shrike, the standard anti-radiation missile, the AGM-88 Harm. Yeah. And it could also carry harpoons. But we haven't got the naval up to that point in history yet. And that's one of the problems. They used to have ships on the alternate history Spain map, which they have removed for God only knows what reason. They had the British carrier Ark Royal, and they had the Soviet Baku. I don't remember what it's called. But they're no longer there, and only Gaijin knows why. Of course, their AAA was absolutely insane. But it would have been fun to be able to practice with the harpoons and the Soviet versions of anti-ship missiles, and the British, and the French, and the. But yeah, $70 A-6E Intruder. Can't see as I can buy into that yet. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. It all depends upon what it looks like. And I don't mean the model. the model is going to be absolutely exquisite. The flight model is going to be very important. The load capability is going to be massively important. The A-6 was a workhorse during Vietnam all the way through to Desert Storm and the second Gulf War, I believe. And I used to watch them flying out from Whidbey Island and also from Oceana. They're an ugly plane. Until you get a top down or bottom up view of them, and then they look really good. But boy, they got a big nose, and they have radar that actually maps the ground and ground targets. They can see targets on the ground with their radar in bad weather. And that will be an absolute dynamite addition to ground forces. If ground forces is, if they can use them. Right now, the only thing they're saying is it has 3 different types of GBU. Also, the plane could carry CBUs, cluster bomb units. Yes, we should be getting cluster bombs too. When you drop a cluster bomb that has 128 bomblets, it should be able to take out just about any anti-air out there. And if it doesn't get the anti-air, it can at least rip up the ground around everything, marking everything. I couldn't imagine how much devastation cluster bombs would do in ground forces. But we can also use those in air realistic and air simulator against ground targets. That's what we should be having. Slow down on all the airplanes that make you spend $70 a pop, and go for weapon system. The A4 could carry cluster bombs. The A7s could carry cluster bombs. The Phantoms could carry cluster bombs. I don't know about the Russian planes, but I'm sure they could carry cluster bombs. And I know the British had them. The French had their interesting runway penetrators, the Durandals, I guess that's what they were called. There's a lot of weapons we're missing. And these are the things that we should be worried about getting. Not a $70 aircraft. Worry about stuff like that, Gaijin, by going to your modifications list and opening it up. I've got it. Walleyes. Woo! I've got walleyes. Big deal. I've got napalm bombs. Big deal. I've got 2,000 pounders. Okay, great. Throw in another one here for interesting weapons. I mean, the AGM, the walleye should come over here, and we should get another one in here for something. Cluster bomb. After you get your firebomb, you get your cluster bomb. Then you get your walleye. Well, underneath the AIM-9G, why don't we add in something like the AGM-45, the Shrike? That way, planes like the A-7 and the A-6 and the A-4 and the Phantom can all shoot back at ground AAA from a distance. AAA doesn't always have its radar on. They can shut their radar down. We need better weapon systems rather than additional vehicles to tote weapons. All right, I've said enough. I've made my complaint about the price, which is absolutely stupid. Yep, that's about it. It's Subdude signing out. Y'all have a pleasant today, a better tomorrow. We'll catch you in the sky. And air realistic on the good maps, of which there are still too goddamn few. Take care, folks. Subdued.